This lesson is about angles and it is an introduction of it. This project is by me, Ashley Lee. First of all, these are the basics we need to know. The vocab, which is vertex, where the edges meet, it's a common point, and ray, a line that has a starting point but no end point, so it will go on forever because there's no end point, and it's also known as legs and sides. An angle is two rays with a common endpoint. So in other words, an angle can be two rays, two legs, or two sides with a vertex, because another word for common endpoint is vertex. I have multiple examples, but this one is my example 1, and it's a small angle example here. I highlighted these two in pink here, these two lines, to emphasize that they are two rays. And you can tell because it's an arrow, which means it will go on forever, like I mentioned in the second slide. But there is a starting point. In the second box, notice that I highlighted the C again. I made it a different color, pink again. C, the vertex, has to be in the middle because in this box here, C is in the middle here too, which is the vertex. ACB, which is ACB, and BCA, BCA. Most simple angles look like this, but I drew this one just to show the vertex and the rays clearly. Now for the third box, the angles on the triangles to the right is another example. I drew this one to show the more complicated angles. It's not that difficult, but basically the angles are in every corner. And you can see in angle G here. And also this is a perfect example of a ray because it goes on forever because it's an arrow. So I just explained these examples, and these examples help for doing simple things, simple angles like these, and identifying the vertex and ray. Okay, this is my second example, and now I will explain it. This is not hard. This one, the first angle to the left here is small because it's less open. And by less open, I mean the angle size, it's more closed and it's not as wide, whereas this one is really wide. So basically, when you do these, it will just help us estimate or get an approximate answer of how big or what number the degree is going to be. And an easy way to do that is like, you could just compare it to a right angle. This is smaller than a right angle, so it will have to definitely be less than 90 degrees. So if you want to make an approximate answer, it could be 40 degrees or 35 degrees. And for this one, it's larger than 90 degrees, so it could be like 110 degrees. That would be an estimate. And you can also look at the angle sizes here. You can tell this one is larger, and this one is way smaller and less wide. So this example is not hard to explain, but you just have to look carefully at these sizes. See if it's more open or more closed. And then the answer would not be hard to find. Alright, so now explaining this last example here. This example has multiple line segments and multiple angles, and it can be confusing to say which angle is which, and by that I mean like this to the left side, you could say that this is P, but this is not P. It's PQ. So up here to the top, I put angle PQ, angle QP. So this is PQ and QP. This example is perfect for line segments because there's an endpoint on each side. So this would not be a ray because a ray has to have a starting point, but no endpoint, which means it goes on forever. So this is not an example of a ray. This is a really good example of lines. This whole example is just on lines. And another one, angle VA and angle AV. VAAV. So for this one here, you could you don't want to put A. That's not it. You have to put AV, the whole thing. And then it will make sense as you go along to more complicated ones that are similar to these. This example here is not difficult to explain either, but the key is to look at the letters to identify and to identify the size of these angles here. Right here, for example, this one is going to be obtuse. Obtuse, I mean like it's larger than 90 degrees because this is way bigger than a 90 right angle. And this one would, on the other side, this is acute, it's smaller, so it'll be less than 90 degrees. And the first one I here said before, this side, the vertical angle is here. This is also obtuse. So they're the same. Alright, so this example is good to explain these kinds of lines, and I just explained the lines in these examples, and I also explained the kinds of angles that you can identify in this example here. PQ, QP, VA, and then there's more. Alright, so this is a review on the introduction of angles today. This lesson was just based on angles, and these are vocab that we should know for this lesson: vertex, ray, angle, line, and line segment. I already mentioned what vertex and ray and angle was, and I did say what line and line segment was, but just to say it one more time, a line is basically what it is, a line with points on each side, and every point has to be inside that line. And a line segment is a line with endpoints on each side. And a perfect example of a line segment was what I had explained before in this example here. Points on each side. Alright, that wraps it up. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening on this introduction of angles lesson.